Today I want to talk about actually using a Linux terminal. More specifically, I aim for this video to be an educational or tutorial video about the Linux terminal, focusing on beginner friendliness and immediately useful information on how to survive in a terminal environment. This video is the first in a two-part series that talks about workflows and tools available to you in the Linux terminal. These videos should give you a more concrete idea of what it's like to use the terminal at different levels of expertise and the tools that exist. Therefore, if you're only interested in a high-level introduction of tools and more advanced workflows, then feel free to check out the next video in the series and skip this one. Otherwise, let's dive right into the beginner workflow I want to discuss today. Let me set the scene for the workflow I'm about to describe. One day, you're asked to remote into a Linux server and change the contents of some file. This is a totally realistic ask. It could be done during an interview. Maybe you need to look at some information on a university server, or maybe you need to change a config file for a service running on some server in the cloud. Either way, you are dropped into a Linux terminal, and you have no clue what user you are signed in as, where any files are located, or even where you currently are. Due to Linux's customizability, the prompt you are facing can be as descriptive as this or as opaque as this. I'm recording this on my own computer, so let's work with what's set up on my machine. You can see at the end of the prompt there is a white box. That's your cursor. When this cursor is filled in, when you type, you will be typing in this terminal. Let's find out who we are in this case with the first command you will learn today. Who am I? By typing who am I and pressing enter, you are told who you are from the perspective of the system. In this case, it's RCNKD, but it could be whatever account name you are logged into. Anyway, at this point, I need to explain a little bit about the folder structure of a typical Linux system. Folders, or directories, are a way to organize files in a system. Think of a regular folder holding some files, and maybe some other folders inside of it. As an example, here is a physical folder holding a file, and another folder holding that folder inside of it. In this case, the folder on the outside, the red one, is the outermost folder. Nothing contains it. In the case of Linux, the outermost folder is called the root folder. In Linux, it is denoted with a /. The root folder will hold all the files and folders that exist on the system. There is another folder that has its own special symbol, the home directory, which is denoted by a tilde. This folder contains all the files that belong not to the system, but to the user that is currently logged in, the user that you get from running whoami. Tilde, however, is just a shortcut to the home directory, the full path being /home/username. Alright, let's move on to some more useful things, or rather, more useful commands. Now that you know who you are in the system, to find out where you are in the system, you just have to type pwd, which stands for print working directory. This will print on the next line the location in the folder structure of the file system where you are typing these commands. In order to see what is in the folder you're currently in, just type in ls. This will print the contents of the current folder to the screen. You can actually print the contents of any folder if you know its absolute or relative path. The absolute path is the path through all the directories from the root folder, and the relative path is based on where you are currently in the file system. Another useful command is cd, or change directories. As you can guess from the name, it lets you change directories. Who would have known? Anyway, just like with ls, you can use absolute and relative paths, but most of the time, you will want to use relative paths. Here is a useful piece of information when talking about relative paths. Each directory has two hidden files, named dot and dot dot. Dot refers to the current folder you're in, and dot dot refers to the preceding folder. In other words, if you want to see what's in the parent folder, you can type ls dot dot to see the contents of it and cd dot dot to go there. Okay, last piece of information before we go to the example applying all this knowledge. You need to know how to open, modify, save, and close files. For the absolute beginner, I suggest using nano because all of the commands you need to know are right there on the screen. So let's say you open a file in nano by typing in nano followed by a space and then followed by the relative or absolute path to a file. In this case, let's say we open the noret.cpp file with nano noret.cpp. Once in there, you can move the cursor with the arrow keys, and you don't have to press anything to be able to start changing the file. Just start typing and it works. Okay, after you're done with your changes and want to save them, just hit Ctrl and O together, and then hit enter to save the file. As you can see on the bottom of the screen, all the commands you may want to use are there, where the caret character means the control key and the M character means the alt key. Once the file is saved, hit Ctrl and X together to exit. If it asks at the bottom whether you want to write the file out, all it is asking you is if you want to save the changes made since you last saved. So hit the Y or N button depending on whether you want to save or not. Okay, now that you have all the knowledge to do very simple tasks, let's solidify it with a simple example. Let's say that you start a new job and someone tells you, hey, could you connect to the server and change the config located in /tmp/conf/appconfs by adding a new line at the end that says debug equals true. That's a fairly easy task, so you connect to the server. You get your bearings at first by typing whoami followed by pwd. Now you know that you're logged in as guest and you're located not where you need to be. So you go to the directory you need by typing out cd followed by space followed by /tmp/conf/appconfs. Once there, you type ls to find the config file. In this case, it's called config.txt. So you open it by typing nano followed by a space and followed by config.txt. Once there, you navigate to the bottom of the file and type debug equals true. At the end, you type Ctrl and O together, then hit enter, and then press Ctrl and X together, and you're back to the terminal and the task is complete. That's basically all that you need as a beginner. But things get a bit more interesting when you go beyond the beginner level. However, that's a topic for the next video, so let's wrap up this one. Alright, in this video you learned the absolute basics of how the Linux terminal environment works, and the tools that exist to make you able to navigate the file system through the terminal and modify files in a very simple way. If you're interested in more advanced workflows and tools, then check out the next video. Also, if you want me to talk about something, then feel free to ask in the comments below. I have actually made a couple videos from viewer requests already. Either way, thank you for your time. Bye.